In 2010, I was deployed onto a ship to protect the ship from potential pirates. Not the fantastic pirates you see played by Johnny Depp, but the scary ones portrayed in the film like Captain Phillips. However, one of the most terrifying things that I saw out on ship was the uncontrollable chaos of a sea storm. I was on a flat bottom ship, meaning I felt every single wave and every little bit of turbulence, and that was the most terrifying part. However, the sailors of the stories I'm about to tell you witnessed things much more horrific and otherworldly. From true vanishing ghost ships to creatures of the sea, and even cannibalism. What I'm about to tell you will change the way you look at the deep blue ocean. Before we get started, I am Luke, a former Royal Marines commando with a passion for storytelling, both military and paranormal. This is the start of a new genre for me of storytelling on this channel, and I am incredibly excited. If you are as well, please like this video and subscribe. This is the start of a brand new adventure on this channel, so please don't forget to leave some constructive criticism in the comment section down below. It would be much appreciated. And also turn on notifications so you can see when the next horror military story is published. In 1844, an Australian lawyer named Thomas Dudley decided to purchase an old historic ship called the Mignonette. He planned to sail the small vessel to Sydney with the help of 3 other men, Edward Stevens, Edmund Brooks, and Richard Parker. What the 4 individuals didn't know is that one of them will become lunch for the rest of the crew. The ship ultimately went into a storm that all but destroyed the small vessel, and the crew, along with Captain Dudley, had to swim to shore. Not knowing where they were or how they were going to survive, after a few weeks they started to deteriorate. After trying anything they could, the sailors invoked the custom of the sea. A grim proceeding in which men draw sticks to decide who gets sacrificed for food so the rest of the crew might survive. But Captain Dudley had another idea. 17-year-old Parker had attempted to drink seawater and was starting to go delirious. Thinking he was making the right decision, Dudley picked Parker as the sacrifice rather than drawing sticks. Dudley stabbed Parker to death, and the crew had a feast. 4 days later, they were rescued. Dudley and the rest of the crew were charged with murder, not because they cannibalized a crew member, but because they did it without invoking the custom of the sea. They were ultimately spared the death penalty, but did serve 6 months in prison. Many sailors looked at the story of Dudley and his crew as pure horrific horror, but some of them actually thought they were lucky to even get back to land. Many sailors told stories of horrific monsters in the deep blue ocean that will easily swallow up a whole ship, let alone a few crew members swimming for land. Tales of mythical monsters of the sea have been around for thousands of years, if not longer. We hear stories from Norse legends like the Kraken that may now be based loosely on a real-life creature. And we hear water-based creatures from freshwater too, like the Loch Ness Monster. One particular story starts in 1848, when sailors aboard Royal Navy's HMS Daedalus encountered a sea leviathan in the South Atlantic. It was, and I quote, an enormous serpent, Captain Peter McHugh noted in his report. Its colour a dark brown with yellowish white about the throat. It had no fins, but something like the mane of a horse, or rather a bunch of seaweed, washed about its back. It passed rapidly, but so close under our lee quarters that had it been a man of any acquaintance, I should have easily recognised his features with the naked eye. This, along with the crew's description of the beast, sent tabloids crazy and brought forward many stories and reports from sailors similar. Could this just be sailors jumping on for fame, or was there really something mythical that we are yet to discover in the deepest parts of the unexplored ocean? Sometimes it's not mythical creatures that sailors report seeing. Sometimes it's abandoned ships with no crew whatsoever. These stories of ghost ships have been very popular in fantastical pirate stories, but did you know it's based on a true story? In 1872, a ship named Mary Celeste set course to Italy from New York. The captain, his wife, their 2-year-old daughter, and 7 crew members set sail from New York, never to be seen again. The ship, however, was seen many times. A month after the disappearance, a British ship stumbled upon Mary Celeste and reported the ship was in good shape. Everything was left in place, as if the members on board just vanished. One British sailor reported seeing a table with food still on that looked like it was for a young girl. The food had molded and didn't even have a single bite taken out of it. The tale of Mary Celeste had become a staple to ghost ship fanatics, making way for books and movies. It's also the closest story we have to the Flying Dutchman, a mythical vessel that is cursed to sail the ocean until the end of time. Is Mary Celeste the true Flying Dutchman, or is it simply a story to scare fellow sailors? So you know, this part of the video is where I'd use my expertise as a former Royal Marines Commando to go over these 3 short stories out at sea. Luckily for me, I was deployed onto a ship, and I can truly say that being out at on ship in the middle of absolute nowhere with pitch blackness around you, floating on the big ocean, is terrifying and can definitely invoke some weird imagination. And you can see why this played into mythology thousands of years ago, all the way up to stories these days of abandoned ghost ships. The first story of cannibalism with Thomas Dudley almost seems kind of more sad, right? They were abandoned on this island. They didn't know if they were going to survive. They ultimately sacrificed a 17-year-old boy and ate him to be saved 4 days later. This is kind of more heartbreaking in my opinion than paranormal. They were stuck on this island. There was nothing they could do. They tried everything to get food. They didn't know when they were going to be rescued, and they did what they thought was normal at the time. They were going to invoke the custom of the sea, this weird thing that was, I guess, normal if you were abandoned on an island, where you would sacrifice a fellow crew member to survive. I think that alone, thinking that that might have happened many, many times, is more terrifying than the fact that they ultimately killed a 17-year-old boy to survive and be rescued 4 days later. Now, this actually was a really big situation in the UK, and it went into law, and it went to court, and all this different stuff happened, where ultimately there was a new law in place where you were not able to sacrifice one person for the savior of others or yourself. This was massive. You can search this up on the internet, and it definitely changed the way that people perceived survival, especially if you're, in the Navy or just living out at sea and get stuck on an island. The second story of the mythical beast in the ocean is the one that is closest to my heart. I'm a massive fan of mythology, and there's a lot of sea monsters, sea creatures in mythology. The Kraken is something that everybody is pretty much aware of at this moment. You see it from places like Norse mythology all the way through to stories like in Lord of the Rings with this weird water serpent. And this is kind of something that happens all the time. You get it in Pirates of the Caribbean as well, and it invokes more imagination. When you look how vast the ocean is and how much is unexplored, you can really see why people thought these monsters were there. Maybe there is something there that we haven't discovered. There's always creatures in the ocean we haven't discovered yet. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was something big. It was only recently they discovered the giant octopus, or the giant squid, which is absolutely terrifying. If you believe in horrific giant monsters in the deep ocean, let me know in the comment section down below, because this is the one that is closest to my heart, and I would definitely have more fun talking about in the future. The third story, the ghost ship. This is the one that's more portrayed in horror than it is in mythology or fantastical stories. This is the one that I've seen more in video games and in horror films. I've seen a couple of films with the whole the ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman, especially in Pirates of the Caribbean. And there was a video game that I played recently. I can't remember what it was called. It's over on the second channel, OriginalHuman Geek, where I played this game and you're on our ghost ship and you got to survive. Now, with this ghost ship, there's many iterations to it, right? There's just the ghost ship sailing across the sea, and then there's the ghost ship that's genuinely haunted by its crew and that will attack you. There's two kind of parallels to this story. If it is just a ship sailing the seas, then it's not that scary. But as soon as you put a crew on and make it a bit more personal with ghosts on it that have the potential to harm you, that's when it can get more terrifying, because sailors had to report different attacks, and if they reported a ship that wasn't around anymore, then that is genuinely terrifying. If you believe in any of these stories, let me know in the comment section down below. The one that's closest to my heart, and although the cannibalism one is real and actually did happen, the one that's closest to my heart is the creatures of the sea. And if you want to hear more stories of creatures of sea, let me know in the comment section down below. I will be more than happy to talk more about mythology like that. If you got to this part of the video, thank you for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You'll see when the next video goes out, and it also helps the video boost in that weird algorithm that nobody knows about, that we're all trying to figure out. So please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And if you've got some constructive criticism, considering that this is a new type of format for me, leave it in the comment section down below. Members, you're beautiful, you're amazing, I love you. I genuinely couldn't make these videos every single day if it wasn't for you members being awesome and supporting this channel. So thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. Links down below to all my awesome stuff. Check it out. 2 other YouTube channels down there. Check them out as well. And until next time, guys, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.